A wall like this one might look good from a distance, but if you get up close, you'll see that it's actually pretty nasty.
The main reason your walls look like that is because you may not be sanding your drywall patches correctly. So today, we've set up a great demonstration to show you how to do it right the first time.
So, whether your patches start out looking like this one, or this one,
or even tinted, like some of these ones,
there's a few key things that we like to do that will help you get better results when you're sanding your drywall patches. And they're not very complicated.
You're gonna wanna see this.
But first we gotta go get some stuff at Rona.
That's right, and no matter what home improvement project you're tackling, Rona has the tools, materials, and knowledgeable staff to help you get it done right. Whether it's drywall repairs, painting, or your next big renovation, it's a great place to start before the real work begins. And now that we have everything we need, let's get back to sanding. The most important step is to actually sand it and not just paint over it like these people did here. That's why it looks like this, and that's not good. It's also important to remember that there's a patch under here, so there's probably tape or a hole that you don't want to expose. So don't just mindlessly sand the middle of the patch, or this can happen. If you sand too much off, you might end up having to put more compound on and basically start all over again. Instead, we recommend starting with the perimeter of the patch and spending most of your time feathering this edge into the wall so that the patch disappears first. Oh, and do it in a circular motion, small circles.
Oh, you should probably wear a mask too.
Now that we've successfully feathered this patch into the wall, take a second and sand the center, getting rid of any imperfections that you might see there. But don't go too hard.
To illustrate the point more clearly, Steve created a multi-layer jawbreaker of tinted mud to showcase what's really going on. This is the jawbreaker with multiple layers of tinted mud.
Most sanding sponges are dual-sided. One side is a coarser grit for removing material quickly, while the other side is a finer grit for smoothing and refining the surface. We typically recommend starting with around 100 to 120 grit, then finishing with a 150 to 220 grit for a smoother final surface. If the edges of your patch are thick, like this one here, start with the rougher coarse grit to save yourself some time and effort. As we mentioned before, we don't want to start by sanding the middle of the patch. Work the perimeter first, feathering the edges into the existing wall. Once you've sanded off most of the excess mud, switch to the fine grit side of the sanding sponge. This side should be the go-to for the vast majority of your sanding as it's much more forgiving. Use the finer side to smooth everything out and remove the scratches left behind by the coarse grit. You'll know you've sanded enough when you can't clearly see where the patch ends and the wall begins. If the edges look blurred instead of creating a hard line, you're ready to move on to the center of the patch to smooth out any ridges or imperfections.
Wow, nice job, sport. See how the outside is all feathered out because you spent more time working on it, and the middle is really just about making it smooth. It's a big difference in the final result.
But as you can see, sanding is a dusty affair. But what if there was a way that you could do all that sanding without all that dust? Well, it just so happens that there is, and I'll show it to you right now, over here. To deal with this patch, we're gonna do something called wet sanding. And to do that, all you need is a sponge and a bucket full of water. So for this method, once you get your sponge nice and wet, wring it out, and then all we're gonna do is use that wet sponge to essentially erase the mud where we don't want it. Now what's great about wet sanding is it's really easy to smooth out the center of the patch, but what's a little more challenging is blending the edges of the patch into the wall. It's a little bit easier to do that with a sanding sponge than a wet sander. Plus, when you wet sand, the patch itself is now wet again, so we have to wait for that to dry before we can paint it. But as you can see, there's no dust here, and that's a big win. So there you go, wet sanding. Now if your patch is particularly proud of the wall, it may help to fan your patch out further to make that hump more gradual, which will help the patch disappear. You may also notice that when you paint this, the patch has a smoother finish than the rest of the wall. That's mainly because the rest of the wall has years of roller texture built up and the patch is perfectly smooth. So to help mitigate this, you can try painting the patched area only a few times with a thicker napped roller to build that texture up before you help blend it in with the rest of the wall. That can help sometimes.
Sometimes you end up with bubbles or holes that you can't really sand out in the end, so you might want to go ahead and fill those first.
You could try sanding these away, but most of the time you'll just make it worse. Give that a few minutes to dry, or even hit it with a heat gun or a hair dryer, and it'll dry instantly, then sand the whole thing. When you think you're done, take a light and shine it down the side of the patch. It'll expose spots that you couldn't see from straight on. This might seem excessive, but trust us, it's a necessary step. And that's really all there is to it. So now that you know, it's time to go and sand all those patches you've been avoiding all these years.
Are you gonna help me with this?
Wasn't planning on it. Once you've
Here, let's move. Let's give you more room. Go far.
Sanding a drywall patch might seem like a very basic task, but it's something that anybody who renovates should know how to do, and know how to do well.
We get it?
Get the shot? Next!